Knowing what I do now, would I take the PRADO on the gun barrel highway? My answer right now, no.
So why not then? The first version, limited mods available, limited understanding of the 48 volt system, 2 incidents without any answers. Lil and Jake, that's one of them. Car sales, that's the other one.
So what would it take for me to be comfortable with taking a 250 PRADO on the canning stock route? So why wouldn't I take the 250 PRADO on the gun barrel highway? It's not just about the gun barrel highway, it's about any really remote location in the desert, just anywhere where it's really remote. A few reasons. Is it risky taking a Series 1 version of any new car out anywhere? Yes. Why? Because there is a bigger potential for teething issues, vehicle problems, things that may have been overlooked during the first batch of the manufacturing process. Even though the vehicle has been around for a while in the US, it's a different variant that we have in Australia. We are the only ones in the entire world that have the 48 volt assist motor. Everywhere else in the world don't have it. So what's risky about it, apart from being Series 1? My absolute main concern is maintenance and spare parts if you need to repair something.
Lil and Jake
broke the suspension on their 250 PRADO. I'm not entirely sure how or what happened. I don't think they are either. They highlighted the fact that they had to wait 2 weeks for suspension to arrive from Japan. 2 weeks, that's a long wait. Imagine if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're broken down, you've got to wait 2 weeks for the parts, let alone get the car out of there. It's a bit problematic. It also makes it a bit difficult to buy spare parts before you go on a trip. You really got to be planning ahead. You've actually got to order them way in advance, which you should anyway, to be honest. You can't predict what you are going to break. So even if you plan ahead with spare parts, it doesn't mean that you're not going to break something else. With the 76 series, and that was also a first variant of the new version. That said, however, they changed bugger all in that vehicle. The rear wheel track. I'm still trying to understand why they haven't lined that up yet. These bloody cars are this skinny little door, skin here, there's no armrest. Good thing I've got one sorted, eh? You can get these on the website. Shameless plug here. All the driveline is more or less the same. This is the rear axle, the short side of a 70 series Land Cruiser. I have snapped 2 of these. To be able to get parts for that vehicle much easier than this new 250 PRADO. If you can't get spare parts for a vehicle, it makes it a bit problematic should something go wrong. So I would not take an F-150 out there. I wouldn't take a Ram out there. I will likely come across disrespectful to some people who own these vehicles. That's just my opinion. I wouldn't take those other vehicles out there. There's not an abundance of them here. Something like a Mitsubishi, Nissan, Toyota, heaps of parts for those. Ford Rangers. There's also the fact that if I don't know that vehicle particularly well, I don't know its weak points, that's something that I'll be questioning before I take it out in the middle of nowhere. And certainly if it's a Series 1 of something, hell no. Not without proper planning and proper preparation and a lot of testing. The other concern that I have, there was a motor journalist who took the 250 out, somehow completely screwed the car up, it just wouldn't start. Something to do with water inside the airbox, and that somehow killed the 48 volt motor. That's how they conveyed it. It can't happen that way. There must be a separate airbox for the 48 volt motor. They've even done a follow-up video on it, but they haven't really explained it too well. It would have been nice to see them deliver some more information, like where did the water actually enter? Or even make an attempt to show us where is that air intake for the 48 volt motor, because it's quite confusing. People are mixing it up. I can see in the comments, they think that the water's entered the airbox and somehow gotten into the 48 volt motor. It can't happen that way. There must be a separate airbox for the 48 volt motor. They even talk about dusting issue related to a different vehicle that doesn't have a 48 volt system, so it's really confusing. Not the right information. So in response to that, I'm going to pull apart the 250 PRADO and see if I can figure out what might have happened, what could have happened, how do we fix it? Is it simply like a breather that just needs to be extended or put into a better place? Or is it like a proper air filter somewhere? And I think a lot of people would appreciate to know exactly how all that works, to understand it completely. This will go a long way to help you make your decision if it's a yay or a definite nay?
One more thing, you may not be aware, but the new PRADO doesn't have a 12-volt alternator. It relies on a 48-volt generator, which is paired up with a 48-volt motor. So I'm wondering,
can we install an alternator as well and bypass the system? Let's find out. Speaking of upgrades, where's the 250? Well, had a few things changed on it. Bang on 2,500 Ks into this PRADO, and it's in its natural habitat, suburbia of Perth. I'm in fact on my way to Mad Inc. to wrap this vehicle.
You have a nice four-wheel drive and you don't want to mess it up, then are you really going to use it for what it's for, like going off-road and on your camping trips? Probably not. And when you PPF it, you just don't have to worry about that.
Wrap the screen.
Yeah. I know it sounds weird, but this area through here.
No, I'm not going to show you yet. Tiny roof rack on top, which might be temporary, might be permanent. Wheels coming, bigger tires, and we got suspension. And then there's a couple other things happening. I'm just going to see if they happen in time. I've got a few locations in mind where I really want to test it.
What's Ronny done here?
And speaking of giving it some more harsh testing, the canning stock route, the CSR, the most remote track, 1,600 kilometers long, a massive stretch between filling up with fuel. There's a lot of planning that needs to be taking place. Already I've locked in one vehicle, that's a 76. There are two other vehicles that could take the other spot, either the V8 Troopy or the 250 PRADO. Going on from what I spoke about earlier, how I would not take it out in the middle of nowhere, the CSR being quite extreme, I would say, as in like a remote place to take it. If that vehicle broke down out there and you can't get spare parts, it's pretty much done for. It's going to stay out there, isn't it? How are you going to get that car out? No one's going to come and help you. So what would it take for me to be comfortable with taking a 250 PRADO on the canning stock route? There are a number of things that need to happen. Number one, it would have to survive all the testing that I've got coming up for it. Shakedowns, I've got towing tests, some other brutal testing I want to do. I want to throw it through some water. I want to simulate some of the issues that people have had to find out, can it do it? If it survives all of those things, then it's one step closer. The next thing that'll have to happen, get a whole bunch of spare parts. It's going to cost me a fair whack, I'd imagine. I'm doing this on my own back. So I've got to make sure that I've got this vehicle equipped with the spares that I think that it needs. So I'm probably going to order like quite a bit of suspension parts, and then I'm going to dive into this 48-volt system and work out what I need for that. Quite a few things that need to happen for that 250 to be in the canning stock route. I'm getting the feeling that most people would like to see the 250 do it. It's because it's a very loved or hated vehicle. One side of the camp would really love to see this vehicle do it. Can it do it? How will it do it? And the other camp would love to see it fail out there. There's so much hate for this car, it's incredible. They would like to see the train wreck of the CSR and the 250. Which two cars would you like to see on the canning stock route? 76, the Troopy and the PRADO. What's your two-car combo? What would you like to see?